Welcome, everyone, to the Q&A session for our upcoming course, Wise Women Quest, the 7-week alchemical journey to actualize your womb wisdom and evolutionary calling. I'm Lisa Bonise, and it's my honor to be hosting this Q&A conversation for the Shift Network, where we'll explore the teachings of Anneloes Smitsman and address questions about her upcoming 7-week course, Wise Woman Quest, which begins Tuesday, February 12th. Later, I'll explain how you can participate in this course, even if you can't attend the live sessions. But first, I want to introduce our guest. Anneloes Smitsman is a published author, storyteller, visionary, legal strategist, and catalyst for transformational change, conscious leadership, collective thrivability, and wisdom-based education and innovation. Her unique training programs, teachings, and wisdom-based methodologies have empowered people and organizations from around the world to develop, optimize, and actualize their true potential by accessing more directly our collective intelligence and wisdom. And in just a few minutes, we're going to open up for your questions. But first, I want to welcome Anneloes, who's calling in from an island in the Indian Ocean called Mauritius. And she'll begin our call by leading us in an opening meditation. Welcome, Anneloes. It's a pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you so much for this wonderful opening and for being here with all of you today. And everybody who's listening, welcome up. We're going to have an amazing hour together. So before we get started with the questions, I'd love to share with you a little bit of a practice and a little meditation, because many of us have very busy lives and a lot of different hats and responsibilities that we carry. So this is also a great opportunity to really come back to ourselves. It's a very simple practice. It's one that I do every night before I go to bed. I know for many of you, it is now the morning. For me, it is in fact the evening. It's 12 hours later than the people in the Pacific time. So if you're driving, then please don't do this meditation right now. You can listen, but just be careful. And but if you have an opportunity to just be quiet for a few minutes, then I'm just going to ask you to close your eyes. I'm going to close my eyes as well, and put your mobile phone off. If you can, unless of course you're using your mobile phone to listen to this recording right now, the live event. So let's get comfortable. Take a few deep breaths, and the purpose of this meditation and this practice is to come back to ourselves. And because as many of us, as we are busy during the day, you may have heard before that where your attention goes, your energy follows. So what we want to do now is we actually want to bring our attention and our awareness and our energy really back to ourselves. I'm just going to ask you to take a deep breath into yourself, relaxing deeply into yourself. And then breathing out, letting go anything that doesn't need your attention right now. Let go of whatever you don't need to be with. Breathing in, calling your attention and your energy, your awareness back to yourself. Breathing out, releasing yourself from anything that is not your responsibility right now. Releasing yourself from anything that's holding you back. And releasing yourself from anything that causes pain or constriction. And taking another few deep breaths in. Centering ourselves. And as your beautiful energy is now returning to you, as it returns to you, it naturally cleanses, it naturally returns to you purified, filled with love. And as you relax into yourself even more deeply now, just become aware that within you is an amazing wisdom. And it's the wisdom of life itself, which is also your innate wisdom. And it's the same wisdom that brings forth our universe, that births our galaxies, that creates the stars. It's that same wisdom that knows just what you need and who you are. It's this beautiful wisdom of pure love. And as you bring your attention now to that beautiful wisdom that brings you forth, that is within you in every cell of your being, allow this wisdom now to spread through your whole space. And as this wisdom is spreading, touches every cell, touches every thought, touches every memory, touches whatever is there within your own inner world with your love. And all that is touched by that love relaxes into itself, remembers what is essential, and comes in the deepest, deepest peace. As your inner being relaxes by the presence of this beautiful wisdom, there's a natural space to heal, our vision clarifies, we can access our inner abilities and receive the deepest support from the wisdom of life and from the wisdom that I'll be sharing with all of you today. From this place of deep inner connection, let us celebrate our connection with each other. Beautiful time together. And create this amazing hour of being with each other, learning from each other, and growing together. And when you're ready, you may gently come out of the meditation by opening your eyes, moving your shoulders slightly in the here and now. And let us begin. There we are.
All right. Wow. Thank you, Anneloes. That was beautiful. So now we have the rest of our time together to dive into our viewers' questions for Anneloes as we prepare for her upcoming course. Again, that's called Wise Woman Quest, and it begins Tuesday, February 12th. And if you want to check out the website and learn more about the 7-week course, you can visit wisewomanquest.com. You see it down there at the bottom of your screen. And that's where you can see the full description and register if you'd like. So let's go ahead and get started with questions. If you have a question for Anneloes, just go ahead and type it in, and I'll be happy to read them aloud. And in the meantime, we've already got some questions that have been sent in, so let's go ahead and get started. We've got a question here from Meredith, who says, I'd love to hear an example of how you have used womb wisdom and these archetypes to practically manifest tangible results in specific areas of your life, like your work, relationships, health, finances, etc.
Thank you, Meredith. That's a fantastic question. Well, I use it all the time because for me, my womb wisdom is also the wisdom of fertility. It's the wisdom of manifestation. It's wisdom to also receive the intuitive awareness, to receive intuitive guidance, and to be able to then bring that forth. And in that, I also work with the archetype. So, for example, by connecting with the queen wisdom and the queen abilities of the higher visionary leadership, I may be checking in or connecting with these abilities to have clarity around what it is that I truly want to be doing and what can have the greatest positive impact. And then by having that clarity and having the inspiration and receiving the ideas, I may then work with the alchemist to make sure that there is enough potential fire, creative fire and creative power to now bring those ideas into being, and then bring it all the way down also with the guardian to make sure that I'll be sharing that in the appropriate way and also have the appropriate protective awareness around that. Who's the good idea to share this with? What's the best way? How can I make sure that I'm really honoring also the purpose of this, what I'm bringing forth, and keep it safe and keep it really clear and really healthy? So the womb wisdom, therefore, is an amazing, and I just would like for all of you to know that to connect with our womb wisdom as woman doesn't mean that the womb organ physically needs to be there. Yeah, I know for some of us the womb has been removed for whatever reasons, but really like you to know that your womb wisdom is always there, whether your physical organ is there still in your body or not. That doesn't matter. The womb wisdom as that life-giving power is inherently within us, but it's also within the men who don't have the womb organ. But the womb wisdom itself is an inherent quality of life itself. And it's almost like we could talk about it as a grail. Yeah? So it's that wonderful capacity as a grail in which the potentialities and our creative powers can be received, fertilized, and grow until they're ready to be born, in which case they're then brought forth into the world. And that we see that womb wisdom and that quality as innate to the universe itself. So there are so many practical ways by being more directly connected also with the source of your creative power, understanding where that comes from the source of life itself, recognizing the different stages so that you may have a great idea and a wonderful concept, but how do you bring that also with all the elemental wisdoms all the way into manifestation in such a way that you can share that with the world, and also recognizing the ripeness of something. And so to really get a sense when it's ready to be shared, as well as another very practical way of working with womb wisdom is when something is ready to be born in the womb, there tends to be a contraction. And in the contraction, this is actually what is helping the womb to open from below and for ideas to be born. Now, sometimes what we're noticing is if we've been preparing for a project or a job or even a relationship or working with whatever has been your intention, what we may notice is that when it's just about to be launched, we may feel this tension and we may feel this contraction. If we don't recognize how life might be providing this contraction as a way to make sure that it engages, that the momentum is there so that it can be born, then our minds may get in the way and think that that contraction is fear or something is wrong. So there is in birthing, in creation processes, when we're ready to be born or ready to give birth, there is a tunneling down, there is a concentration, there is a focusing that happens, after which it expands again. And by being aware of these subtle changes as we go along these transformational processes, really learning how to work from conception all the way into that growth, into the giving the birth, into manifestation, and then the continuous nurturing of that as well, by recognizing each of these stages in your life, in your personal development, in the relationship that you're having, in what you're bringing forth in the world. There's a level of mastery and clarity and consciousness that comes forth with that, which makes everything so much easier. Because a lot of the struggles also that we're having is by misidentifying and having a lot of projections of fears or anxieties around that. Whereas if we understand how the universe is working with us, how the universe is supporting you, there's an incredible strength and clarity and purpose that comes forth. So I hope that's answered some of your questions.
Thank you. That was helpful to me personally. Thank you. I appreciate that. By the way, I want to mention to everybody that once again that Anneloes is on a tropical island, so her internet is not quite perfect, but we'll make it through. What you were just saying, Anneloes, actually leads beautifully into a question here from Fiona. It seems like it might be related. She says, sometimes life gets so hard and I feel overcome with anxiety. It's very frightening, but listening to you talk, it seems like these times might just be the squeezing part of a rebirthing process. How can I tell if that's what's going on?
Oh, that's a great question. Exactly. So, well, the first thing of what I did is the practice that I have when I feel fear and anxiety. And remember that we just started this practice by bringing our energy back to ourselves and letting go of what is not ours and releasing ourselves from anything also that's not serving right now. So, and as this is especially in the case for a lot of women, if they're very empathic as well or intuitive, yeah, but same, of course, for men as well, is that sometimes a lot of the anxiety is also because our own energy is merging too much with other people who we're working with or processes. So step number one is to go within and really saying, how much of this fear and anxiety is mine? And then let go of what is not yours and allow what's not yours to return to wherever it came from with love and with grace. That it can go through its own process, pull your own energy back. And then check yourself, okay, this anxiety and this fear that I'm feeling now, is there anything within that that is purposeful or useful for me to know? For example, if the body is tired, she may be trying to tell you we need a little bit of rest. And if she's not getting the rest, that may cause anxiety as well. So always look as well, is this purposeful? Is there anything that I can work with that? And what we are doing then already, we are actually embracing now the energy of anxiety. But instead of being anxious about the anxiousness, fearful about the fear, it's like we use that mother wisdom. We embrace it. We say, okay, that's okay. I welcome this feeling. That's fine. But I'm going to work with it now and I'm going to help it to transform. And what are we doing now by helping it transform? And that's really the alchemist wisdom, saying, what is the essence and a deeper message in this? Because what happens is if we reject it ourselves and we tend to push it away, then there's a part of us that may be trying to signal something that we are not listening to, which can actually also build anxiety. So the next step is to say to that part of us that's feeling anxious and fearful, say, okay, maybe I'm just ahead of something really new and I am going through a birthing process. Now remember, when the baby is in the womb, it doesn't quite know how the world is going to be. Yeah? And it feels a lot of different changes, but it's being carried by the mother. So when we are going through deep growth processes, sometimes we also like that little seed that's buried in the soil. And when the spring comes out, then it sprouts. But when it's under the soil or when it's inside the womb, we don't always see what is going on and what is coming. So what you can then do in those moments is saying, okay, to the part of myself that is scared of the unknown and feels that I'm going through a lot of changes, yes, if there's anywhere within myself a deep wisdom and the wisdom of life that understands and that knows, even if I cannot all comprehend it then myself, guide me, please. Provide me really with the strength and with the sense of safety to go through that so that you can then surrender into that. And that practice in itself then already helps to transform a lot of those fears because there is, a deeper knowing then in which we can also relax and rest. So yes, it may very well be that a lot of these anxieties are actually the prelude to that narrowing down, tunneling down, going through the birth canal, not quite knowing what is ahead and what's happening. And by working with that contraction in a way that is supportive, not fighting it, not resisting, trusting the deeper wisdom, asking our womb wisdom to come forth, to help us move through the birth canal, there is so much more ease and there's a kind of a surrendering into that experience. And that's when the deeper aha comes. Because when we stay in the fear and we want to try to control everything, then quite often we can't access the solution that is already here.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's go to a question here from Maureen, who says, I love your teachings, but I cannot help feeling uncomfortable with using the word womb. I've been conditioned to be ashamed of my female parts and therefore have a very difficult time wanting to connect with that part of myself. How can I begin to do this kind of work if I can't even say the word womb?
first of all, I'm sending my love because I understand that that is not easy. And this is actually the case for so many women, which is why I chose to speak out about this, because I really feel that our womb is an amazing strength, yes. But maybe a first step is to think of it that the womb wisdom itself is inherent to life. And perhaps if you want to find a different word for that, that is fine as well. But it's a healing process. So what I'm hearing for you is that there are a lot of emotions around that. Even just spending time, putting your hands in that area of your body and on your belly, and just really, really gently starting a relationship with your own womb wisdom. You don't need to say the words, but just understanding this beautiful wisdom is there. It's natural and it's a great gift of life. It's your life-giving powers. Yeah, it's also a deep sourcing for your creative wisdom, and it's okay and it is safe. And that understand that whatever memories have been there, that the womb itself is not the memory, or the memories and all the expectations and projections may be associated with the womb. But feel the womb deeper than that. Just if you can, go beyond the words, beyond the concepts, beyond what people have made it mean, beyond all the stigmatization that there has been as well. And really just feel your own inner womanhood. And through your inner womanhood, just know the deepest source of our womanhood and how we all in that process stand as sisters together.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, we've got a lot of women asking about it. Looks like this is a really common situation here. So let's go ahead and follow that trail a little bit. You did mention previously that even if you've had a hysterectomy, you can still do this kind of work. But let's expand on that a little bit. Madeline even asks, what does this all mean for women who have had womb problems like fibroids or who haven't been able to have children? She says, it seems to me that many women hold trauma, either their own or ancestral past life, and their job is to transmute it for themselves and the collective field. How can your work help these women become self-actualized and move beyond being considered less useful? How can women with womb problems enter into leadership?
Oh, I love that one. That's a great question. Or first of all, often where the trauma is and where the pain is also sometimes where the deepest wisdom comes forth. Yeah. So for me, it is exactly and precisely there where we're accessing that power. And for me, the leadership is really about leading the way into the deepest healing, in our deepest collective healing, in our deepest personal healing. So leadership is not a role. No, it's not a position. It is not a job. Leadership is a sense of beingness and a sense of mastery and a sense of presence and just the deepest love and being, knowing how to work with all these challenges, knowing how to work with pain, and also realizing that we're not the pain. The pain are the experience that we are having. We are not the experience. Yeah? And this is a difficult one sometimes because we can get so incredibly identified with the experiences. But when experiences then are wonderful and they are good, then we all up. And when the experience goes down, we all feel down. Yeah? But you are so much more than just your experience. Yes, experiences, they come and they go. And what we are working with now, and this is where the accessing also of our innate and inner leadership and our self-actualization really means that we are accessing these eternal qualities of who we really and truly are. It's a space that you can enter them within yourself that is beyond all these projections as well. And it's beyond all these collective memories, but not from a place of withdrawing from that by meeting it. It's the power of love. And this is where, I really feel that by embracing what that pain is about and working with that, and especially for the woman who've gone through all these difficult experiences around the womb, And trust me, I've had my own difficult experiences there too. So I know how that feels. And I also have learned to listen to if there's pain in my womb or there's pain around the ovaries, to go within there, to read these parts of myself and to listen to the deeper wisdom that our body is bringing us. And so again, beyond the physical experience of our womb, there is an energetic experience also of that womb wisdom, of our universal qualities in the feminine wisdom and how that comes forth in our physicalized expression. So self-actualization is really about embracing the totality of our being. Self-actualization is really about embracing all of our experiences and looking for the essence within that and looking for the wisdom and the deeper learning and the deeper growth that it offers. And sometimes these growth experiences are happening in ways that are not very nice and they are painful. But by embracing that and being able to access that feminine wisdom that you're having, by able to call on that deeper wisdom of life as we did in the beginning, there is such a deep healing that takes place. And it is in that healing and in that love that grows for yourself and for all beings. This self-actualization is about that process. And leadership emerges out of that process.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Powerful words. Thank you. Let's take a question here from Shayla, who says, I'd like you to say more about your work with the guardian energy and the power of strong boundaries. This feels like something many women have not yet embodied, and I would like to get a feeling for how you approach it.
Oh, that's a great one. Well, my learning about the guardian, it started already when I was a little girl, and I loved to spend a lot of time with animals. So it's from the animals that I learned about natural boundaries. And when I was a little girl, I used to love to tame horses. And the horse immediately gets a sense of your presence and of your emotions as you approach it. So nature taught me so much that every being has its own sacred space. And the way that you approach another being, it becomes immediately aware also of your intention and how it responds. So my first learning around guardianship was really from nature itself, by getting a sense also of how to truly honor and respect every person's autonomy and its personal space. And by becoming aware of that in others, I also became therefore aware where my boundaries are and when I felt something felt appropriate or respectful, or when I felt, no, this is not okay. So through the guardian, I started to listen to that deeper, no, I don't like this, or that doesn't feel okay, or yes, this feels right, and I can commit to that. And in the beginning, that is subtle, but you may have all experienced that if you go over your own boundaries, or other people go over those boundaries, it's like we feel it somewhere, we have a sense, but we may not have been able to really stand in that and voice that. Then later in my life, when I was a teenager, I learned a lot about the guardian through martial arts. So I got well practiced in the art of jiu-jitsu, and I learned through the martial arts also how to work with the energy of fire, but in such a way that you know how to fight, but you also know how to fight from a place of clarity, which is not an intention to hurt people, but to really understand how also, for example, to work with the energy of an attack and being able to, to guide that further and then help to transform that. So, yeah, I really felt it was for myself important as a young woman then growing up in the Netherlands and traveling a lot around Europe. I really wanted to learn those guardian lessons early in life, and martial arts taught me a lot about how to do that and how to be able to also stand my ground, which I've had to do several times in my life. So yes, it's true. For a lot of the women, the guardianship qualities have not always been as well developed, and also really finding within that our voice. But the guardian also, when it connects again to the other archetypes, like the priestess or like the queen and the alchemist, then what we are learning to do is that we're sourcing that sense of protection and being able to have healthy boundaries from a place of love and not from a place of aggression. And by really, really being yourself, standing in your own autonomy, and within that, standing really within that sourcing of the wisdom of life, there's such a presence that comes forth that is an incredible natural protection.
All right, thank you. And if you're just joining us, we're here with Anneloes Smitsman, learning about her upcoming course, Wise Woman Quest, which begins on Tuesday, February 12th. And you can log on to wisewomanquest.com for all the details and to register. And we have plenty more questions coming up. Let's go ahead and dive back in. We've got a question here from Lorraine who says, can you comment on pregnancy? How will this course land with me if I'm pregnant?
Oh, yes, because, I'm a mother myself of 2 young boys, 8 and 10 years old. And it is through my own pregnancy that I learned so much about my womb. My pregnancies, I found them an amazing time. And so this course really helps us to connect even more deeply with exactly the process that we're going through in our pregnancy, as well as to, establish this very deep connection with the baby. And in, really sensing and feeling into also the different stages that your baby is going through, but also how your baby within you is, initiating you as a mother. And that's the beautiful, what I have loved so much about my own pregnancy is that you're carrying, this whole new life within you. That by being so open and receptive to that whole new life, it's like your own motherhood is being born through that. And the next stage of your own womanhood is being born through that. So also by working with the 5 archetypes, you will be able to, to go through your pregnancy much more consciously. And as well, because through this course, we're developing a lot our intuitive abilities. We are getting closer and more connected with our body. We're getting more aware of the subtle messages as well. So it will help a lot to be in that process, to be really close to your own body wisdom, to be very close to your baby's wisdom, and to be able to call on that support whenever you need that through the different stages of your pregnancy, but also understanding how these changes are occurring. Like in the beginning around conception, then we find that the element of air can be quite activated as we're going from the ether air. And then later in the pregnancy, it's the fire that becomes activated, and we tend to get these hot flashes as well. And then the more the baby is growing within the womb and it goes through this elemental wisdom, then we find that when the fire that becomes then transmuted and it becomes the water, the womb starts to grow, more water starts to expand as the baby is growing. And this is also when we feel we are slowing down, our energy is slowing down, and we need to be present with that. And then from the water stage, we're going more and more into the earthing. And then as your baby is ready to be born, the water will break. So it's like it comes out of the water element into the earth element. So each of these stages of your pregnancy, when you go through that consciously, it's really beautiful. And by doing that, you then later also learn in life that you can also work with these stages from conception all the way into birth. Also, when you're not having children, the same stages, the same wisdoms apply for anything that goes through a conception all the way into physicalization, materialization, and also in the reverse, which is around conscious dying.
Fascinating. Thank you. Then let's go to the other end of the spectrum. You're talking about listening to your body's signals. We've got Phyllis who's saying, I've had horrible hot flashes for many years. Menopause has been very difficult for me. Is there anything in this course that might help me to heal my relationship with my body and possibly end these relentless hot flashes?
Yes, because a lot of what we're working in the course is having a beautiful, healthy relationship with the element of fire. So as we are, again, in our womanhood, so we're taking it now from the base down when you are a baby, coming into the earth element. In the beginning, you have to develop structure, you're wobbly on our feet. Then we start to go, when we go as a teenager, we're going into all these emotions, or the the water element is more activated. Then when we start to, later we go into that menopause period, and the fire becomes activated. So, and this is also when a lot of these hot flashes are happening. So what you can do in that period is really learning, how do I work with the fire now to ignite my vision? So your womanhood itself goes through its next stage. So working with hot flashes, breathing into that. It's another contraction, in fact, but now it's a contraction that's kind of igniting now that fire to go up to, because it's rising and it's lifting you up. That is what its true purpose is. It's not there to give pain, although it can be very uncomfortable, I know. But it's working with that fire now and embracing it as alchemically to help that ignite our vision, strengthen our love, and lift us up. And then what you're seeing is in later stages as well, the fire now, when that after our menopause starts to ease and we age further, then we're going into the element of air. And then, when our life comes really to its last cycle, with our last breath out, we're entering into the element of space ether. So our life itself is an elemental journey, all the way down in one direction, from the cosmic torus down, all the way up as well. So definitely, by not only will you through this course learn how to work with these hot flashes, how to work with the fire, but more importantly, how to embrace this as a birthing into the next stage of your womanhood by recognizing these phases, not only this stage, but then also feeling the preparedness and understanding how to work with every other stage that comes after that as well.
Huh. Okay. Wow. I'm learning so much from you just in this brief conversation. Thank you. We've got a question here. This is an anonymous question that's just asking simply, what does Taurus mean?
Yeah, that's great. Good. Well, the Taurus, I know we don't have a visual right now, but if you Google the Taurus, then you will see the visual. So what cosmologists have said for quite some time is, if we are looking at how the cosmos becomes the universe and how it brings itself forth, and if we're looking at also with regards to the spinning of bodies and the magnetic fields that can generate it, then what we're seeing is that it generates the shape of what we call the torus. And some call the torus also as a donut. So it is a visual help for being able to see a lot of what are of invisible process, how the universe from its own core and sourcing unfolds and actualizes, and as it then actualizes, brings itself forth, and then it comes around again. So in the Taurus, what we're seeing is that we are seeing this larger shape here, and then it funneling down, and then going all the way down, and then it turns in on itself and it turns around. So it is the toroidal movement showing that there is a constant flow of regeneration within life itself. So we can see that the toroidal flow, we can see that, for example, around the energy fields, and especially around our heart as well. But we're seeing them also even in apple, you can see. So when we are looking in the growth patterns of nature itself, then what we start to see that there seems to be a toroidal movement of this patterning, where it comes in from that core and then expands, diversifies out, and then turns around in on itself and comes back to itself. So that there's a constant process where you can see in itself the birthing. So how the universe itself has that wisdom to bring itself forth, expand, diversify, and then return back to itself. There is never any loss of energy.
Okay, thank you. Looking at the clock here, we have time for a few more questions, but before we take those, I want to give a few details about the course. People are asking questions. This might be a good time to go ahead and answer those. This is going to be, in case you haven't noticed, a really life-changing 7-week journey under Anneloes' guidance, where you'll activate your deepest intuition and visionary leadership abilities through the Queen and other powerful feminine archetypes. And the 7-week course takes place on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, starting Tuesday, February 12th. And if you can't join us live, that's fine. You won't miss the teachings. You'll receive audio and video recordings. You'll receive transcripts and all course handouts on your course homepage. Also, I'd like to remind you that the Shift Network offers a no-risk money-back guarantee on all of our courses, giving you a full 2 weeks until February 26th, in this case, to make sure that you absolutely love it. And as an added option, all participants are welcome to connect in a private Facebook community group so you can stay connected with one another. Also, everyone who registers receives the Wise Woman Quest bonus collection. First, you'll receive 6 letters from the Amazon bestseller, Love Letters from Mother Earth, The Promise of a New Beginning by Anneloes Smitsman. Next, you'll get a video conversation with Dr. Jude Currivan and Anneloes entitled The Cosmic Hologram and the Whole World View. Then you'll receive a video interview, including meditation exercises with Dr. Kurt Barnes by Anneloes called Accessing Higher Consciousness States and Relaxing into Inner Harmony. You'll also get a video interview with Lawrence Bloom by Anneloes entitled Answering the Evolutionary Call. And finally, you'll receive a video interview with Dr. Irvin Laszlo by Anneloes called The Cosmic Womb of the Akashic Field. And when you register by midnight Pacific on Thursday, February 7th, you'll receive an additional bonus gift, and that is a video meditation from Dr. Kurt Barnes entitled Love Letters from Mother Earth. So before we get back into questions, Anneloes, let me ask, what are you most looking forward to sharing in your upcoming course?
What I really look forward to share with all of you is that deep experience, how our womanhood can be such a great gift. Because I know for a lot of women, this hasn't been the case. This is not their experience. So what I'm really looking forward to is to share all these different practices and these teachings and these source connections that have helped me so much in my own life, so that it can support all of you to grow and to flourish and to come to a much deeper sense of also empowerment and the capacity to truly live your life from your deepest calling.
All right, great. Thank you. Well, let's go ahead and get back into questions then. We've got some time left. We've got a question here from Solaria who says, how is the energy of consort beneficial to realizing the womb wisdom and the 5 archetypes you mentioned in this 7-week course?
Can she clarify a little bit more what she means with consort?
I'm not sure. It just says, how is the energy of consort beneficial to realizing womb wisdom?
Okay, so help me then understand what she means with consort. Because it's
I'm not sure. Maybe we'll just go ahead and go on to a new question. How does that sound?
I'm very happy to answer, but I really want to make sure I'm giving the right answer. So
okay, well, perhaps Solaria, maybe you can type in and clarify your question a bit, and then we'll go ahead and move on. It looks like Risa is saying, would you please distinguish between these 3 archetypes, alchemist, guardian, and queen, and the divine or sacred feminine, and also the feminine warrior?
Well, for me, the divine and sacred feminine comes through all expression, because the sacredness is in everything. Yes, although we don't always recognize it, and it doesn't always seem to manifest like that. So, first thing is that to understand that divine feminine has many different faces and many different qualities. So she can express herself as the queen, as the alchemist, as the warrior. Now, where we see the different qualities, and it comes back again to what we were describing earlier about the Taurus and the toroidal cosmic Taurus. So when we are working in that process from the cosmic dimensions all the way into the planetary dimensions, what you see is that the way that the unified field of consciousness brings itself forth, and depending on what stage that is it the deep kind of more invisible cosmic dimensions, or are we now all the way into our physicality, into material reality, and into the planetary dimensions, is that there are therefore different archetypes, different qualities that become activated by that unity, by that oneness, depending on the context of where we are. So this is where we see, for example, if we're looking at the queen archetype, she's sitting more from within the cosmic dimension. She has that top overview, that larger overview, really seeing that from the wholeness. And that's also where her purpose is and where these qualities are coming forth. And if we're going more into the birth canal and we're going into that place within the Taurus, is like that center point where the cosmic dimensions and the planetary dimensions converge and come together. So the alchemist's purpose as well is in order to be able to hold the potentialities of both and to be like that balancing between both worlds of knowing how to converge the realities from one into the other, and also to be able to heal and to transmute. And that's what we're seeing. And when you are really working further down and you work with manifestation, we're now very much into the physical, planetary dimensions. This is when also more of the guardian archetype becomes activated as it stands on the ground, literally. But as the guardian stands on the ground, it brings forth the queen wisdom, it brings forth the alchemist. So every archetype is also within the other archetype. It's not that because we hear the words that they are separate archetypes. It's more thinking of it as how one becomes the other in this journey all the way down from the infinite into the finite dimensions and the journey back. So the archetypes help us to connect with our whole self, our full potential, and therefore to be able to access the divine, sacred, feminine qualities and bring them all the way into form so that there is never any loss of consciousness, there's never any loss of coherence, there is never any loss of unity. It just becomes richer, and then you learn to bring that forth, all these different expressions of yourself. So I hope that answers that.
Okay, thank you. Solera has written in with a little more clarity. Once again, her question was, how is the energy of consort beneficial to realizing womb wisdom? But then she clarifies, consort as a friend or others involved in this process of expressing these feminine archetypes, for example, a male partner during this course.
Oh, thank you. Yes, now I know better how to answer your question. Well, again, there's two ways to work with this. One is that as you yourself are in a deeper relationship with yourself and you'll be able to have more of that inner peace, more of that presence, yeah, you also become a better partner for the other person. So your relationships naturally improve as there's also much more of your own inner presence, of your love, of your wisdom qualities, of your feminine wisdom that's able to come forth. At the same time, the feminine wisdom lives within man and in woman in the same way that the masculine wisdom is also within us as women. So in all of my teachings, I really remind people always about that unity, that the masculine and the feminine qualities are united at a deep place of our being, and that they work in conscious partnership. So also by being able to have more clarity and more direct connection and access with your feminine wisdom qualities, you can support the same in your partner. But also you may find that by working and going through our own healing, that our own inner masculine as well may become more balanced. And it might also mean that in relationship with, for example, with your partner, that you'll be able to support your partner as well in his or her masculine or feminine qualities in the balance thereof. So all of this is about very, very deep relational wisdom. And then that will help a lot to give clarity also in how we can really, create this conscious loving relationship with other people as well.
Okay, thank you for your answer. And thank you, Solaria, for writing in with that clarification. That was very helpful. We've got a question here from Anna. She's asking a couple different questions. First, she's asking, how will I be different after taking this course? And then she's actually asking about the course structure itself. She says, I learn best when I integrate knowledge sessions in follow-up discussion sessions with other course participants. Is there any chance of arranging this through the course structure? And yes, we will have breakout groups. Perhaps, Anneloes, you can mention that. But again, her main question is, how will I be different after taking this course?
Well, maybe what we're going to do is first impale the word different. Yes, because maybe the question is really, how will you be more of you? So I don't want you to be different. I want you to become to feel even more connected to who you truly are, and to really feel safe and supported to be able to bring that forth. And it's in that you'll be able to really find your uniqueness. Because I feel sometimes in the society around us, there are too many expectations that when we are bringing ourselves forth from our uniqueness, that we feel, oh, maybe I'm not good enough, or I should be different, or should be like this or like that. And what it means is we're getting pulled into all kinds of expectations. So I'd like you to know that who you are is beautiful. And it's just like the universe wants you to be. And it's, my role in these coming 7 weeks is to truly support you to find that incredible treasure within you and to really discover what's unique about you. And within that uniqueness also we find the sameness, by understanding that it's the same deeper wisdom that brings us forth. And that gives a whole different experience around words such as difference. So, yeah, I'd love you to be you.
Perfect. Thank you. Let's do a question here from Jean, who says, is there a chakra intimately associated with the womb? And if so, would you please name and describe this chakra and explain, if applicable, how this womb chakra relates to the archetypal sacred marriage?
Yes. And you probably know already around your question, there's a whole lot more of that teaching. So I can share a little bit, but I can't share all of it around that. So there is every chakra is in itself also like a torus, to think of it in that as well. So what is a chakra? A chakra is really like a vortex. It's an amazing system whereby you can draw in from the multidimensionality of yourself and communicate that and bring that forth in wherever that lies to in the physical reality of yourself. So the womb wisdom draws also its chakra support both from the root chakras as well as the sacral areas, but it also connects all the way to all the chakras. So I always work with all the chakras as one integrated system, and which you can see that as the energy from kind of the infinite source and undifferentiated source comes through, as it goes through these chakra systems, it starts to change in its vibrations, in its colors, in its sounds, but it's still the same source wisdom that is coming through. And so think about the chakra. So the chakra, every chakra is interrelated with every other chakra in your body. It's one whole incredible communication system. And so how this relates also with the sacred marriage is that the sacred marriage is the deeper alchemical union. It's the alchemical union of the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine principles within ourselves. But there is another sacred marriage. That's the alchemical marriage where it's like the marriage between the spiritual dimensions of ourselves and also the material dimensions of ourselves, cosmic dimensions within ourselves, and the planetary dimensions within ourselves. Now, the womb itself is, as I shared earlier, it's so much more than an organ. So in our feminine wisdom powers, and this is part of also the ancient priestess teachings, therefore the initiations in the temple used to be that when you receive the initiations in the priestess initiation, it's a deep womb activation and womb initiation as well, so that the womb becomes capable for receiving also as a grail these divine alchemical energies, and is therefore, as a woman in your sacred feminine wisdom, from that alchemical marriage that also takes place at a deeper union, that you can bring that forth as blessings, you can bring it forth as new visions, you can birth that forth as an incredible love and care and clarity. And it's in that activates an incredibly deep evolutionary calling and purpose. So the womb is not only a wisdom for its life-giving powers and its sacred containment, but also it is capable also of receiving these deeper alchemical wisdoms and integrate that and embody that to then bring that forth as we learn to birth ourselves also through our own womb wisdom. And as I said before, that doesn't mean that the physical organ needs to be there. Your womb wisdom, even if the physical organ is not there, the womb wisdom always remains.
Okay, thank you. Let's do a question here from Madeline, who it seems that she's responding to the meditation that you led. She says, I found a golden cosmic spiral inside my womb. How is the best way to use that to connect with the greater cosmic wisdom?
Oh, that is beautiful. And you may even find later that you have two spirals, a spiral going down and a spiral going up, and where they converge. Yeah? So the cosmic golden spiral is in itself, in that momentum, is the universe communicating with you. So what you can working with that spiral also to know, in one direction, the spiral helps you to manifest and materialize. And in the other direction, the spiral can undo that creation and manifestation when something is completed. So by working also with that cosmic spiral, and irrespective of where it is in your body, understanding the principle behind that. So in one direction, it helps to manifest and unfold and bring it in, and it becomes more diversified. And in the other direction, you take it actually out of the material reality and you bring it back into spirit. So you can work with that cosmic spiral and that golden spiral, that beautiful golden quality of that pure consciousness that comes through, yeah? To really know, am I bringing something into life? Or, and this is important as well, because we forget that often, is that everything that we bring into the world, there comes a point of time when it's completed that journey and it will go back, so that that form is then completed and we honor it for the purpose that it served. We allow the energy now to return back to source. We free up the form. This is when we're working then with that golden spiral in the other direction, to bring the energy back to source, to free it from that form, so that new forms, new expressions, new ways can be born.
Wow, nice. Thank you. Wow, well, looking at the clock, we're about out of time. This has just been a fascinating conversation. I want to thank our viewers for being with us today and for all of your questions. Once again, Wise Woman Quest starts Tuesday, February 12th. And again, you can visit wisewomanquest.com to learn more and to register. So before we go, Anneloes, do you have any final words for our viewers?
I just want to thank you. I love these questions. I think it's amazing. And I always say to people, please give me the questions, because if you asking the question, you're also drawing forth the wisdom. So just want to thank all of you so much for being with us here today and being so engaged and coming up with these amazing questions and being so open to learn. And I look forward to share this journey with all of you.
All right. Well, thank you again, Anneloes. It's been an absolute delight speaking with you today.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Once again, thank you to everyone who joined us. On behalf of all of us at the Shift Network, I wish you well and look forward to having you on this course or perhaps another one in the future. Have a great day, everyone.